The waitress was so tired of her boring life that when a rough voice gave her an address at 2 a.m., she showed up. She had no idea the call was meant for someone else. What she didn't know, the Mafia boss who owned that address had been watching her ever since, and he had no intention of letting her walk away. The grease from the fryer had seeped into Mia Chen's sneakers 3 hours ago, and she could still feel it squishing between her toes as she wiped down the last booth at Bernie's diner. 2:17 a.m. The neon, open 24 hours sign flickered outside, casting pink and blue shadows across the empty parking lot. She was 26, broke, and so tired her bones ached. Just lock up and go home. Her manager had texted an hour earlier, abandoning her to close alone. Again. Mia squeezed the rag into the bucket, watching the gray water swirl. In 6 hours, she'd be back here for the breakfast shift. Then the dinner shift. Then probably another close. The cycle was killing her, one double shift at a time. The diner phone rang. She froze. Nobody called the diner at 2 a.m. unless it was a prank or a drunk looking for directions to a McDonald's. She considered ignoring it, but the ringing was relentless, drilling into her skull. Bernie's diner, she answered, wedging the phone between her shoulder and ear while she continued wiping. You're late. The voice was male, rough as sandpaper, with a Brooklyn accent that could cut glass. And I don't like late. Sorry, wrong number. Don't play games with me. Pick up the money at the address I gave you, or I swear to God, you'll regret it. You've got 30 minutes. Mia's hand stopped mid-wipe. I think you've got the wrong. 1247, Mercy Street. Back entrance. Ask for Frankie. 30 minutes, or you're done. The line went dead. She stood there, phone still pressed to her ear, listening to the dialed tone. Her heart was doing something weird, a combination of fear and something else she couldn't quite name. Curiosity. Mia had spent her entire life playing it safe. Community college dropped out. Nursing school couldn't afford it. Now waitressing, living in a studio apartment with a broken heater and a landlord who called her sweetheart in a way that made her skin crawl. Every day was the same. Every tomorrow looked exactly like today. She should finish closing, go home, sleep. Instead, she found herself pulling out her phone and typing 1247 Mercy Street into the Maps app. It was in the warehouse district. 20 minutes on her scooter. The part of town where her mother had always warned her not to go, where buildings had more broken windows than intact ones, where people minded their business because asking questions got you hurt. This is insane, she muttered, grabbing her helmet and jacket from the back office. But she'd been living in the same safe prison for 6 years. Maybe insane was exactly what she needed. The rain had started by the time she kick-started her ancient Vespa. It sputtered twice before catching, belching blue smoke into the wet air. Mia pulled onto the empty street, the city lights smearing across her rain-spattered visor. What was she doing? What was she actually doing? The rational part of her brain, the part that paid bills on time and apologized to rude customers, was screaming at her to turn around. But the other part, the part that had been suffocating under the weight of routine, pushed the throttle harder. The warehouse district looked exactly like it did in movies, all shadows and rust, loading docks and graffitied roll-down doors. Mia's scooter sounded obscenely loud in the silence as she pulled up to 1247 Mercy Street. It was a nightclub, or it used to be. The sign read Velvet Room in faded letters, half the bulbs burned out. Bass thumped from inside, muffled but alive. Black cars lined the street, expensive ones, the kind that cost more than she'd make in 5 years. She should leave.
Right now.
Turn around and forget this ever happened. Instead, she parked her scooter behind a dumpster and walked toward the back entrance. The door was steel, unmarked except for years of scratches and dents. She knocked. Waited. The rain soaked through her jacket, dripping down her neck. The door opened a crack, and a man's face appeared, heavy-browed, suspicious. Yeah. I'm here to pick up something. From Frankie. The man's eyes narrowed. You're late. She stopped. She'd just confirmed she was the person they were expecting. Whoever that person was. The door swung open, and before she could reconsider, a thick hand grabbed her arm and pulled her inside. The hallway was dark, smelling of cigarettes and expensive cologne. Music pounded through the walls. Voices shouted in the distance. "This way. Boss is waiting." Mia stumbled after him, her wet sneakers squeaking on the concrete floor. They passed through a service corridor, then through a door that opened into controlled chaos. The VIP room. Men in suits crowded around low tables, smoke hanging in the air like fog. A woman in a red dress laughed too loud at something. Everyone looked dangerous. Everyone looked rich. Here, the heavy-browed man grabbed a black suitcase from beside a leather couch and shoved it into Mia's hands. It was heavier than she expected. "You know what to do with it." She didn't. She had absolutely no idea. "Right," she said, trying to sound confident. "Same as always. And tell Mr. Romano we expect confirmation by noon tomorrow." "No delays." "No delays," Mia repeated, backing toward the door. "Got it." She turned and walked, not ran, walked, back down the corridor, suitcase clutched against her chest. Her heart was hammering so hard she thought everyone could hear it. She had no idea what was in the suitcase. Money? Drugs? Someone's severed head. She burst through the back door into the rain and sucked in a breath of cold air. That's when she heard the gunshots. 3 sharp cracks echoed through the alley, followed by shouting. Tires screeched. Mia didn't think, she ran. She threw the suitcase onto her scooter, jumped on, and kicked it to life on the first try for once in its miserable existence. She shot out of the alley as men in dark clothes poured into the street behind her, yelling in a language she didn't understand. More gunshots. The scooter wobbled as she took a corner too fast, the suitcase sliding against her leg. Mia didn't slow down until she was 6 blocks away, parked under a broken streetlight, gasping for breath. Her hands shook on the handlebars. Her entire body shook. She looked down at the suitcase strapped to the back of her scooter. "What did I just do?" she whispered to no one. But she already knew the answer. She just stepped into a world she didn't understand, carrying something that didn't belong to her, and somewhere behind her, people with guns were probably very interested in getting it back. Mia started the scooter again and headed home, the suitcase riding behind her like a ticking time bomb. She didn't notice the black sedan that pulled out 2 blocks back, following at a careful distance. 20 minutes earlier, Velvet Room basement. Salvatore Romano was bored. He sat in his office beneath the nightclub, surrounded by vintage leather and expensive scotch, watching 3 separate monitors show him 3 separate wastes of his time. A shipment delayed in Newark. A rival family sniffing around his territory in Queens. His nephew Carlo blowing his allowance at a blackjack table upstairs. At 42, Salvatore had been in the business long enough to know that boredom was dangerous. Boredom made you sloppy. Boredom made you dead. He swirled his drink, ice clinking against crystal, when the first gunshot cracked through the speakers. His lieutenant, Vincent, burst through the door. "Boss, we got a situation." The Vitali crew hit Marco in the alley. "The courier's dead." Salvatore didn't move. "The money?" "That's the thing. Someone already picked it up." Now Salvatore sat forward. "What do you mean, someone?" Vincent gestured frantically at the monitors. "Rewind camera 3. The footage showed the VIP room 15 minutes ago." Salvatore watched as his men handed a suitcase to a figure in a wet jacket. Not Marco, his usual courier. This person was smaller, moved differently. When she turned slightly toward the camera, he caught a glimpse of her face. A girl, maybe mid-20s. Looked terrified. Looked completely out of place. "Who the hell is that?" Vincent asked. Salvatore leaned back, a slow smile spreading across his face. "Not who. What?" He tapped his glass thoughtfully. "She's either the dumbest person in New York, or a gift from God. You want me to pick her up? I want you to find her. Don't touch her, not yet. Find out who she is, where she lives, Why my men thought she was Marco, Salvatore stood, buttoning his suit jacket. And do it before the Vitalis or the feds figure out what just happened. Vincent nodded and disappeared. Salvatore turned back to the monitor, freezing on the girl's face. She had this look like a deer caught in headlights, but one that was about to kick you in the teeth anyway. Interesting, he murmured. Mia's apartment, 3:47 a.m. Mia's hands shook so badly she could barely get her key in the lock. When she finally stumbled into her studio apartment, she dragged the suitcase inside and slammed the door, throwing both locks and the chain. Her apartment was a shoebox, 450 square feet of peeling wallpaper, a kitchenette with 2 working burners, a mattress on the floor because she couldn't afford a bed frame. Home sweet home. She stared at the suitcase sitting in the middle of her floor like a bomb. Okay, she paced, dripping rainwater onto the already stained carpet.
Think.
What's in it?
Could be.
Documents? Could be drugs. Could be. She stopped pacing. There was only one way to find out. The latches clicked open with surprising ease. Mia held her breath and lifted the lid. Money. Stacks and stacks of $100 bills, bundled with paper bands. More money than she'd ever seen in her life. More money than she'd imagined existed in one place outside of movies. Oh my God. She sat down hard on the floor. Oh my God. Oh my God. Her mind raced through calculations. If each stack was 10,000, and there were, she started counting, pulling out bundles, her hands trembling. 30 stacks in the first layer, another 30 underneath, more below that. $3 million. Give or take. Mia started laughing. It came out high and slightly hysterical. She was sitting on her garbage apartment floor, surrounded by enough cash to change her entire life, soaking wet from a rainstorm, having just fled from a mob hit. This wasn't real. This couldn't be real. But the money felt real, smelled real, like ink and paper and possibility. She could pay off her student loans, her mother's medical bills, get a real apartment with heat and a landlord who wasn't a creep, go back to school, leave the diner, leave this whole suffocating life behind. I can't keep this, she said aloud, trying to convince herself. This belongs to whoever those people were. Dangerous people. People with guns. But her hands were already closing the suitcase, already hiding it in the only closet she had, behind her winter coats and broken vacuum cleaner. Just for tonight. She'd figure out what to do in the morning. Mia stripped off her wet clothes and collapsed onto her mattress, but sleep wouldn't come. Every sound in the building made her jump. Every car door outside felt like a threat. What had the man said? Tell Mr. Romano we expect confirmation by noon tomorrow. Romano. That name sounded familiar, the way nightmare stories sounded familiar. The kind of name people whispered about in certain neighborhoods. She'd stolen from the mob. She'd accidentally, stupidly, impossibly stolen $3 million from the actual mob. I'm dead, she whispered to her ceiling. I'm so dead. Outside, 4:15 a.m. A black Mercedes pulled up across from Mia's building, parking under a broken streetlight. Vincent sat in the driver's seat, phone pressed to his ear. Found her boss. Mia Chun, 26, works at Bernie's Diner. Lives alone in a 5th-floor walk-up in Hell's Kitchen. No record, no connections, nothing. She's nobody. On the other end, Salvatore's voice was calm, amused even. Nobody doesn't walk into my club and walk out with $3 million in cash. Watch her. Don't make contact yet. I want to know what she does next. You really think she'll keep it? Vincent, if someone handed you $3 million and the chance to disappear, wouldn't you at least think about it? Salvatore paused. This girl answered a phone call meant for someone else, showed up anyway, and survived the Vitalis. She's either lucky, smart, or completely insane. Either way, I want to meet her. And then we'll see if she's worth keeping alive. The line went dead. Vincent settled into his seat, eyes fixed on the 5th-floor window where a single light had just turned on. Inside that apartment, Mia Chen was pacing again, trying to figure out how to save her life. She had no idea that decision had already been made for her. Mia didn't sleep. How could she? She sat on her mattress, watching the sun rise through her grimy window, the suitcase now shoved under her kitchen sink behind the cleaning supplies. As if hiding $3 million behind a bottle of bleach and some sponges would somehow protect her. Her phone buzzed. A text from Bernie's. "Where are you?" "Breakfast shift started 20 minutes ago." She stared at the message. The diner.
Her job.
Her normal, safe, suffocating life. Could she really just go back to pouring coffee and pretending last night never happened? Another buzz. "Mia, I need you here now or you're fired." Her finger hovered over the keyboard. She should go. She should absolutely go. She turned off her phone. Standing up, she caught her reflection in the bathroom mirror. Dark circles under her eyes. Hair a mess. Still wearing yesterday's bra because she'd been too wired to think about changing. She looked like someone who'd just stolen $3 million from the mob. Because she had. Okay, think she started pacing 3 steps to the wall, turn 3 steps back. I could go to the police. But then I'd have to explain why I showed up to collect mob money. I could run. Bus ticket somewhere far. Change my name. But they saw my face on camera, probably got my license plate. A knock at the door stopped her mid-step. 3 solid raps. Confident. Patient. Mia's blood turned to ice. Another knock. "Miss Jin? I know you're in there. I can hear you pacing. You've been doing it all night, by the way. My man downstairs is exhausted just listening to you." The voice was smooth, cultured, with just enough edge to remind you that cultured men could be the most dangerous. Not the rough voice from the phone. Someone else. Someone worse. Mia grabbed a kitchen knife from the drawer, the big one she used to cut chicken. Her hands shook as she approached the door. "I don't want any trouble." "Little late for that, don't you think?" A pause. "Open the door, Miss Jin. I'm not going to hurt you. If I wanted you hurt, you'd already be hurt. I'm a civilized man. I'd prefer to have a civilized conversation. Go away or I'm calling the cops." A low chuckle. "No, you're not. Because you're smart enough to know that calling the police would be the worst decision you could make right now. Open the door." Mia's mind raced. He was right. She couldn't call the cops. She was trapped. With trembling hands, she undid the chain, the locks, and opened the door a crack. The man standing in her hallway didn't look like a criminal. He looked like a senator. Mid-40s, perfectly tailored charcoal suit, silver at his temples, and eyes that were simultaneously warm and absolutely terrifying. He smiled like he'd just arrived for afternoon tea. Behind him stood 2 men built like refrigerators, wearing cheaper suits and expressions that suggested they'd killed people before breakfast. "Mia Chen. May I come in?" He didn't wait for an answer, gently pushing the door open and stepping inside. His bodyguards remained in the hallway. Mia backed up, knife still raised. "Stay back." He glanced around her apartment, the peeling wallpaper, the mattress on the floor, the hot plate next to a sink full of dishes. Something flickered in his expression. Not quite pity. More like recognition. "Quite a place you have here." He walked to her window, hands in his pockets, completely unconcerned with the knife she was pointing at him. 5th floor walk-up. Broken radiator. "I'm guessing your landlord is charging you at least $1,800 for this shoebox." $19.50, Mia said automatically, then cursed herself. Why was she making conversation with this man? "Highway robbery." He turned to face her, and his smile faded. "Speaking of robbery, I believe you have something that belongs to me." "I don't know what you're talking about."
Please.
"We both know why I'm here." He gestured to a folding chair she used as furniture. "May I?" "No." He sat anyway. "Let me introduce myself properly. Salvatore Romano. Perhaps you've heard the name?" Mia's grip tightened on the knife.
She'd heard it, all right.
Everyone in certain circles had heard it. Romano ran half the organized crime in New York. Drugs, gambling, protection rackets, construction unions. He was the kind of man the FBI had been trying to nail for 20 years. And he was sitting in her apartment. Last night, one of my associates was supposed to pick up a package from my establishment. Unfortunately, he had an accident before he could arrive. Salvatore's voice remained pleasant, conversational. Imagine my surprise when I reviewed the security footage and saw a young woman in a waitress uniform collecting my package instead. A young woman who wasn't supposed to be there, who shouldn't even know that address exists. Wrong number, Mia whispered. It was a wrong number. Yes, I've pieced that together. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. Here's what fascinates me, Miss Chen. You got a wrong number, a confusing, threatening call at 2 in the morning, and instead of hanging up, you decided to investigate, to show up, to walk into a situation that any sane person would run from, his eyes fixed on hers.
Why?
The question hung in the air. Why had she gone? She'd been asking herself the same thing all night. I was bored, she finally said. Salvatore blinked. Then he laughed, a real laugh, surprised and genuine.
Bored.
You risked your life because you were bored. My life was already being wasted. The words came out bitter. At least this was interesting. He studied her for a long moment, and Mia felt like he was seeing something she'd never articulated to herself. The desperation, the drowning feeling, the sense that she was disappearing into routine. I understand that more than you know. He stood up, brushing invisible lint from his suit.
Now.
Let's discuss your immediate future. You have two options. Option 1. You return my property. You work for me until I decide your debt is paid, and you live. Option 2, and she paused. There is no option 2. Not really. Work for you? Doing what? Whatever I tell you to do. He walked to her door, then stopped. Oh, and Miss Chen? Don't bother running. I have people watching this building, your mother's building in Queens, your friend Sarah's place in Brooklyn. If you disappear, they disappear. Understood? Mia's heart sank. He'd done his homework. You'd hurt my mother? I'd prefer not to. I'm not a monster, his expression hardened. But I am a businessman, and you have my $3 million. So yes, if necessary. He opened the door, and his bodyguard straightened. I'll give you 2 hours to make peace with your new life. Then Vincent here, he nodded to one of the refrigerators, will collect you. Wear comfortable shoes. We have work to do. The door closed behind them, and Mia stood frozen, knife still in her hand. She'd wanted interesting. She'd wanted to escape her boring life. Congratulations, she thought bitterly. You got your wish. 2 hours later, Mia sat in the back of a Mercedes that probably cost more than her entire life, wedged between Vincent and another bodyguard whose name she hadn't caught. Salvatore sat up front, scrolling through his phone like this was a casual Sunday drive. They'd made her return the suitcase. She'd pulled it from under the sink, and Vincent had counted every stack in front of her, as if she'd somehow spent any of it in the 6 hours she'd had it. The fantasy of escape, of freedom, had lasted one night. Now she was heading to God knows where, wearing her only clean pair of jeans and the sneakers that still smelled like fryer grease. Where are we going? She asked. To work, Salvatore said without looking up. You wanted to escape your boring life? Congratulations. Today you learn what interesting actually costs. They pulled up to a laundromat in the Bronx, Sunshine Fresh Laundry, in faded yellow letters. A bell chimed as they entered. The place looked normal enough. Rows of washers and dryers, a bored teenager folding towels, the smell of detergent and hot lint. Too normal. Salvatore walked past the machines to a door marked "Employees Only" and entered without knocking. Mia followed, flanked by the bodyguards. The back room was nothing like the front. Instead of industrial washers, there were counting machines, stacks of bills organized by denomination, and 3 men in shirt sleeves working with a focused intensity of accountants during tax season. Gentlemen, Salvatore announced. This is Mia. She'll be observing today. One of the men, 50s, glasses, thinning hair, looked up nervously. Boss, I don't pay you to think, Leonard. I pay you to clean money. Salvatore turned to Mia. Leonard here takes dirty cash from various enterprises and makes it clean. Checks, money orders, structured deposits. All very boring. All very necessary. Mia watched as Leonard fed bills into a counting machine. This is a front. This is a business, Salvatore corrected. We actually do laundry. We're just diversified. He pulled out a chair.
Sit. Watch.
Learn. For the next hour, Mia observed the intricate dance of money laundering. Cash came in from various sources: gambling, protection payments, less legal enterprises. It went out as legitimate income from the laundromat, a construction company, a catering business. All carefully documented. All technically legal, if you didn't look too close. Salvatore's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, frowned. I need to take this. Leonard, our guest needs something to do. Put her to work. He stepped outside, leaving Mia with 3 nervous accountants and 2 bodyguards. Leonard pushed a stack of bills and a ledger toward her. Just count these and write down the total. Think you can manage that? I was a waitress. I can count. She started sorting through the bills, checking for counterfeits the way Leonard had shown her. Hold them to the light, feel the texture. It was almost meditative. 20 minutes passed. She was on her 3rd stack when the bell at the front chimed. One of the bodyguards went to check. Through the partially open door, Mia heard voices low, tense. Then the bodyguard returned, nodding to his partner. Some guy asking about pickup schedules. Vincent's handling it, but something about the voice nagged at Mia. She'd heard it before. Recently. The conversation up front grew louder. Mia set down the cash and moved toward the door, ignoring Leonard's hiss of stay here. Through the crack, she could see a man in a worn jacket arguing with Vincent about getting his clothes cleaned by Thursday. But his eyes weren't on Vincent. They were scanning the room, lingering on the employees-only door. That's when Mia recognized the voice. VIP room. Last night. One of the men in suits. He wasn't here for laundry. He was here gathering intel. Mia's heart hammered. She could stay quiet, let Salvatore's people handle it.
Or.
She burst through the door, letting it bang loudly against the wall. Vincent, there you are. Boss needs you outside.
Now.
Something about the car alarm? Vincent's eye twitched with annoyance, but he was professional enough not to contradict her in front of a stranger. The car's fine. No, it's definitely making that noise again. You know, the one he hates. She turned to the stranger, smiling brightly. Sorry, security's so paranoid about the cars. We've had 3 break-ins this month. Actually, make that 4. Didn't someone try Tuesday? She directed this to Vincent, establishing a pattern, making it sound legitimate. The stranger's eyes narrowed slightly. 4 break-ins? This neighborhood that bad? The worst, Mia said enthusiastically, moving closer, putting herself between him and the back room. Last week someone stole a whole dryer. A dryer? Who steals appliances? Probably the Vitali crew. They've been causing trouble all over this area. You know them? She dropped the name casually, watching his reaction. His face remained neutral, but his shoulders tensed. Just slightly. Just enough. Never heard of them, he said. Really? They run most of the neighborhood. Protection rackets, card games, truck hijackings. My cousin Frankie got roughed up by them just last month. Said they're planning something big. Expansion into Manhattan, maybe? She was making it up as she went, throwing out bait. You don't look like you're from around here. Where'd you say you were from? I didn't. The man backed toward the door. You know what? I'll come back another time. Thursday's not that important. But your clothes. Another time, he pushed through the door, the bell chiming his exit. Vincent immediately moved to the window, watching as the man climbed into a car across the street. He pulled out his phone. Boss, we got a tail. Blue Honda, plate number. He rattled off the information. Mia stood there, adrenaline flooding her system. Had she just done something incredibly stupid or incredibly smart? The back door opened. Salvatore walked in, phone still in hand, eyes moving from Vincent to Mia. What happened? Your waitress here just burned a Vitali Scout. Vincent said, something like respect creeping into his voice. Spotted him, ran interference, fed him bad intel about our operations, and spooked him out the door. Salvatore turned his full attention to Mia. You recognized him? From last night. The VIP room. And you decided to handle it yourself? Mia's confidence wavered. I thought he might be a problem. Salvatore walked toward her slowly, and she couldn't read his expression. Then he smiled, sharp and approving. You lied to him. About the break-ins, the Vitali expansion, your cousin Frankie. I don't have a cousin Frankie. I know you don't, he circled her like a shark. Either you're the luckiest idiot in New York, or you're a natural liar. Which is it? Mia met his eyes. Maybe both. He laughed. That surprised laugh again. Vincent, from now on, Miss Chin stays close. Very close, he turned back to Mia. Congratulations. You're amusing. And I like amusing things. Does this mean I'm not getting killed? Today?
No.
Tomorrow? He shrugged. Let's see if you stay amusing. 3 days. That's how long Mia had been living in a nightmare disguised as a twisted adventure. Salvatore kept her close, just as he'd promised. She'd been to 4 more businesses. A restaurant that served excellent pasta and excellent money laundering, a construction office where nothing got constructed without Romano approval, and a private card game where she'd watched men bet amounts that could have paid her rent for a year. She was learning the language, the codes. How to spot undercover cops. They wore shoes too nice for their supposed jobs. How to stand in a room full of criminals and not look terrified, fake it, always fake it. But she still lived in her crappy apartment, still owed Salvatore an undefined debt, and still had no idea if she'd survive the week. Tonight, he'd sent her on her first solo errand. Pick up an envelope from Dimitri at the deli on 9th Street, Vincent had told her.
Simple.
Even you can't screw this up. Famous last words. Mia stood in the parking lot behind the deli, envelope tucked in her jacket, when 3 cars pulled in simultaneously, boxing her against the wall. Her blood went cold. The doors opened, and 6 people stepped out, 4 men, 2 women. They moved with coordinated precision. Professional. One of the women stepped forward. Mid-30s, black leather jacket, dark hair pulled back tight enough to give Mia sympathy pains. She had a scar running through her left eyebrow and a smile that suggested she enjoyed her work too much. You must be the famous Mia Chin, the woman said, her accent pure Brooklyn. Carla Vitali. We should talk. The Viper. Mia had heard the name dropped in Salvatore's meetings, always with a particular edge. This was the rival boss, the one trying to muscle into Romano territory. I'm just picking up sandwiches, Mia said, forcing her voice steady. Sure you are. Just like you were just picking up $3 million last week, Carla lit a cigarette, studying Mia like a specimen. You know what I think? I think Salvatore Romano is getting creative. Using random nobodies to run his operations. Makes it harder to track. I really don't know what. Cut the crap, Carla exhaled smoke. Romano doesn't let anyone close unless they're useful. So what makes you useful? What's your angle? Mia's mind raced. She could play dumb, but Carla clearly wasn't buying it. She could run, but 6 against 1 in a parking lot wasn't great odds. She could wait for help, but she had no idea if help was coming. Or she could do what she'd been doing for 3 days. Bluff like her life depended on it. Because it did. You want to know what makes me useful? Mia stepped forward, heart hammering. I'm unpredictable. You can't track me because I don't fit the pattern. I'm not in your databases. Not on your payroll sheets. I'm nobody, which makes me perfect. Carla's smile widened. Confident. I like that. And you cornering me in a parking lot? Mia gestured around. Real subtle. 3 security cameras, and Dimitri back they're already called Romano's people. You've got maybe 2 minutes before this place is crawling with made guys. She was making it up. She had no idea if Dimitri had called anyone. But Carla's eyes flickered toward the deli, and Mia knew she'd landed the bluff. So here's what's going to happen, Mia continued, channeling every ounce of fake confidence she could muster. You're going to let me walk out of here. I'm going to forget this conversation happened. And maybe I don't mention to my boss that the great Carla Vitali got spooked by a waitress. One of Carla's men stepped forward, hand moving toward his jacket. Boss, let me. Wait, Carla held up a hand, eyes never leaving Mia. You've got guts, I'll give you that. Stupid guts, but guts. That's when Mia heard the engine. A black town car pulled into the parking lot, moving slowly, deliberately. The driver's door opened, and Salvatore stepped out, immaculate as always in a three-piece suit, a cigar between his fingers. He surveyed the scene, 6 Vitali crew members, his courier pressed against a wall, and didn't even blink. Carla. What a pleasant surprise, he took a drag from his cigar. I thought we agreed to keep business civilized. Your girl walked into my territory. 9th Street's been neutral ground for 15 years. Unless you're planning to renegotiate our arrangement. His tone was pleasant, but everyone in that parking lot knew what renegotiation meant.
War.
Carla tensed. Her crew shifted, hands hovering near weapons. For a moment, Mia thought bullets were about to fly. Then Salvatore smiled. Besides, threatening my people? That's just rude, Carla. I thought we were friends. Friends don't steal shipments. And I didn't, he glanced at Mia. Though I appreciate your assumption that I'm smart enough to orchestrate that mess. Unfortunately, that was just good old-fashioned luck, he turned back to Carla.
Now.
Are we going to stand in this parking lot all night, or are we going to be professionals? The standoff stretched. Mia barely breathed. Finally, Carla laughed, short and sharp. You got lucky, Romano. This nobody of yours won't always be so lucky. Oh, I don't know, Salvatore looked at Mia, with something like pride. She seems pretty lucky to me. Talked her way out of your little ambush before I even arrived. Didn't you, Mia?
Mia's throat was dry.
Just doing my job.
See?
Professional, Salvatore gestured toward his car. Now, if you'll excuse us, we have dinner reservations. Carla, always a pleasure. He walked Mia to the car, hand lightly on her back, guiding her. She climbed in, legs shaking so badly she almost missed the seat. Salvatore slid in beside her, and Vincent pulled out of the parking lot. Through the window, Mia watched Carla and her crew standing there, watching them leave. For a full minute, nobody spoke. Then Salvatore started laughing, genuine, delighted laughter. Did you actually tell Carla Vitali that she got spooked by a waitress? I panicked. You were magnificent, he turned to her, eyes bright with amusement. 3 days ago, you were pouring coffee. Tonight, you went toe-to-toe with one of the most dangerous women in New York and didn't flinch. I was absolutely flinching. On the inside. But not on the outside. That's what matters, he settled back in his seat. You're coming with me tomorrow. There's a meeting with some associates in Jersey. I want them to see you. Why? Because, Miss Chun, you're becoming an asset. A confusing, accidental, completely unqualified asset. He took a drag from his cigar. And I'm starting to think that's exactly what makes you valuable. Mia stared out the window at the city, lights blurring past. A week ago, she'd been bored and broke. Now she was apparently valuable to the mob. She still wasn't sure if that was better or worse. But somewhere in the chaos, the fear, the adrenaline, she felt alive. And that scared her most of all. The Jersey meeting never happened. Mia was 2 blocks from the restaurant where she was supposed to pick up a ledger, routine errand, Vincent had said, when the black SUV cut her off. Federal plates. Tinted windows. The kind of vehicle that screamed law enforcement. 2 agents stepped out, badges already displayed. The woman was early 40s, blonde hair pulled into a no-nonsense ponytail, pantsuit that had seen better days. The man was younger, looked fresh out of Quantico, still had that eager gleam. Mia Chun? The woman's voice was tired but firm.
FBI.
We need to talk. Mia's stomach dropped. I haven't done anything. That's funny, because we have surveillance photos of you entering and exiting 5 different Romano operations in the past week. She held up a tablet showing grainy images. There was Mia at the laundromat. At the construction office. Getting into Salvatore's car. Want to revise that statement? The younger agent moved to her other side, boxing her in. We can do this easy or hard, Miss Chen. Your choice. 20 minutes later, Mia sat in a windowless room in a federal building she didn't know existed. The blonde agent, Special Agent Reeves, sat across from her, a file folder between them. You're not under arrest, Reeves said.
Yet.
Right now, you're a person of interest. But that can change very quickly depending on how this conversation goes. I want a lawyer. You can have one. But lawyers slow things down, and you don't have time. Reeves opened the folder, spreading photos across the table. Salvatore Romano. Suspected of racketeering, money laundering, extortion, 3 unsolved homicides. We've been building a case for 6 years. And then you appear out of nowhere, getting access we've been trying to get for half a decade. The younger agent, Reeves called him Chun, no relation, leaned against the wall. We've been watching Romano's operations for months. Then suddenly this waitress shows up, and he takes her everywhere. Why? Wrong place, wrong time, Mia said. Try again. Reeves slid another photo across. This is you at a Vitali meeting site. Carla Vitali doesn't meet with nobodies. So, what's her angle? You working both sides. No. Then explain how a diner waitress becomes Romano's shadow in 1 week. Mia's mind raced. She could tell them everything. The wrong number, the suitcase, the threat against her mother. They might protect her. Or they might just use her and throw her away when convenient. He's forcing me, she said quietly. I made a mistake. Now he says I work for him, or my family gets hurt. Reeves and Chun exchanged glances. Reeves leaned forward. Then help us put him away.
Testify.
We'll put you in witness protection, relocate your mother, give you a fresh start. And if I say no, then you're complicit in his crimes. We charge you as an accessory. You're looking at 10 to 15 years. Reeves, let that sink in. Or you help us, and this all goes away. It was a trap either way. Testify and spend the rest of her life looking over her shoulder, waiting for Romano's people to find her. Or refuse and go to prison for crimes she'd stumbled into accidentally. I need time to think. You have 24 hours. Reeves handed her a card with a phone number. Call that number when you're ready to cooperate. Don't call and we come find you. Understand? They drove her back to where they'd picked her up, leaving her standing on the sidewalk, the card burning in her pocket like evidence. Mia pulled out her phone, hands shaking. She had to think, had to figure out. A text appeared from an unknown number. Coffee shop on the corner. Back booth.
Now.
She looked up. Across the street, Vincent sat in a parked car, watching her. They'd been following her.
Of course they had.
The coffee shop was nearly empty. Vincent sat in the back, a laptop open in front of him. He gestured to the seat across from him without looking up. The feds grabbed you. For 43 minutes, he said. What did they want? There was no point lying. They want me to inform. Said I have 24 hours to decide or they'll charge me. And what did you tell them? That I needed time to think. Vincent finally looked at her. And are you? Thinking about it. This was the moment. She could lie, say no, pretend loyalty she didn't feel. But something told her Vincent would see through it. They offered witness protection. A new life. Isn't that what anyone would think about? Most people, yeah. He turned the laptop toward her. On the screen was a photo of Special Agent Reeves meeting with someone in a parking garage. Know who that is? Mia squinted. Should I? Carla Vitali's nephew. Low-level associate. Vincent pulled up another photo. The FBI's been trying to flip people in both organizations, play us against each other. You're not their witness, Mia. You're bait. Her blood ran cold. What? They want Romano to think you're cooperating, so he'll either kill you, giving them a murder charge, or try to extract you, letting them track his people. Vincent closed the laptop. Either way, you're dead. The question is whether you take us down with you. I don't want anyone dead. Then we need to be smarter than them. He stood up. Give me that card. Mia handed over Agent Reeves' business card. Vincent photographed it, then gave it back. Here's what you're going to do. Call them tonight. Say you'll cooperate. They'll want you to wear a wire tomorrow. Record Romano making incriminating statements. You'll agree. But let me finish, his voice was hard. You'll agree, you'll wear their wire, and tomorrow you'll meet with the boss exactly as planned. He'll say some things that sound bad. The feds will think they got what they need. Then things will get loud. Loud how? Trust me. When it happens, you drop flat and stay down until someone tells you to move.
Got it.
Mia's head spun. You want me to be a fake informant? I want you to stay alive. Which means convincing the FBI you're useful while convincing the boss you're loyal. Vincent headed for the door, then paused. Make the call tonight. Sound scared. Sound desperate. It won't be hard, you already are. He left her sitting there, surrounded by the smell of burnt coffee and her own terrible choices. That night, Mia made the call. This is Mia Chun, she told Agent Reeves, voice trembling. I'll do it. I'll help you. On the other end, she heard the smile in Reeves' voice. Smart choice. We'll be in touch tomorrow with instructions. After she hung up, Mia sat on her mattress and wondered if she'd just signed her own death warrant or bought herself another day. In the world she'd stumbled into, the difference was getting harder to tell. The wire was the size of a button battery, taped between Mia's breasts where Agent Reeves promised it couldn't be detected. Just get him talking about specifics. Reeves had instructed that morning in an unmarked van. Names, dates, dollar amounts. Anything that proves conspiracy. Now Mia sat across from Salvatore at an Italian restaurant he owned in Little Italy, the wire pressing against her ribs like a guilty conscience. You're nervous, Salvatore observed, twirling pasta onto his fork. More than usual. Meeting with crime bosses makes me nervous. Weird, right? He smiled. You handled Carlo Vitali. You can handle lunch, he gestured around the restaurant. This place? My grandmother opened it in 1952. Real sauce, real recipes. No shortcuts. That's the secret, Mia. People think our business is about violence and intimidation. Sometimes. But mostly, it's about theater. Theater? How you present yourself. How you enter a room. The stories you tell, he leaned forward. Take you, for example. You walked into my world by accident, but you're still here because you understood something instinctively. You played the part. The confused waitress. The desperate amateur. The quick-thinking survivor. Every version true. Every version useful. Mia shifted uncomfortably, aware of every word being recorded. I wasn't playing anything. That's what makes it convincing, he pointed his fork at her. Here's what I'm going to teach you. Real power isn't about having the biggest gun or the most money. It's about controlling the narrative. Making people believe the story you want them to believe. Over the next hour, as they ate and talked, Salvatore gave her a masterclass in presence. How to make eye contact that communicated threat without saying a word. How to dress for different audiences. Respect for old-school bosses, authority for street crews, invisibility for surveillance. How to listen for what people weren't saying. Tomorrow, you're coming to a meeting in Staten Island, he said. Sit, observe, say nothing. They'll wonder who you are. Let them wonder. The wire captured everything. Mia tried to steer the conversation towards specifics, shipments, money, crimes, but Salvatore was too smart. He spoke in metaphors, in hypotheticals, in stories about his grandmother's restaurant. Nothing the FBI could use. Over the next 5 days, Mia's double life became a tightrope walk. By day, she accompanied Salvatore everywhere. A meeting with union bosses at a construction site where he never explicitly threatened anyone, but everyone understood the consequences of noncompliance. A card game where she watched him read tells and manipulate pots without touching a card himself. A charity gala where he donated $50,000 to a children's hospital while laundering twice that through the foundation. He was teaching her, she realized, not just how to survive in his world, but how to thrive. Watch this, he told her at a sit-down with a rival crew arguing over territory. The room was tense, everyone armed, everyone angry. Salvatore walked in 15 minutes late, ordered espresso, and spent 10 minutes talking about his tailor before addressing the issue. By the time he proposed a solution, everyone was so off balance they agreed without argument. "You made them wait," Mia said afterward. "Made them uncomfortable. I made them remember who controls the room." He glanced at her. "You're learning."
She was.
And that was the problem. At night, she met with Agent Reeves, handing over recordings that contained nothing usable. The agent was getting frustrated. "He's toying with you," Reeves said. "He knows you're wired. Then why hasn't he killed me?" Reeves had no answer for that. The truth was stranger. Salvatore seemed to enjoy having her around. He brought her to meetings specifically to unsettle his associates. "This is Mia," he'd say, offering no explanation. "Let them guess. Let them worry." She improvised solutions that accidentally worked. At a warehouse where a shipment's paperwork didn't match, she suggested they lost a decimal point in transit, a typo, not fraud. Salvatore stared at her, then implemented it, and the shipment sailed through customs. "Where did you learn that?" Vincent asked, suspicious. "I didn't. I just thought about what wouldn't get caught." But her usefulness made Vincent more suspicious, not less. He started watching her differently, more carefully. One night, after a particularly successful money transfer, Salvatore poured her a drink in his office. "You're good at this," he said. "Too good for someone who stumbled in by accident." Mia's throat went dry. "I'm just trying to survive." Everyone tries to survive. Not everyone improvises brilliant solutions under pressure. He swirled his scotch. "So, either you're a natural criminal, or you're something else entirely." "Like what?" "That's what I'm trying to figure out." He studied her over his glass. "You're hiding something, Mia. I just can't tell what." This was it. He was going to search her, find the wire, and that would be the end. Instead, he laughed. "But everyone hides something. It's the ones who pretend to be open books you have to watch." He stood up, retrieving something from his desk drawer, a small jewelry box. Inside was a silver necklace with a saint's medallion. St. Jude, patron saint of lost causes. He fastened it around her neck. "My grandmother gave me one when I started in this business. You remind me of myself back then, desperate, clever, in way over your head." The medallion was cold against her skin, resting just above the wire. "I don't understand," Mia whispered. "You're useful to me, Mia. And in my world, useful people either become indispensable, or they become liabilities. The difference is loyalty." His hand rested briefly on her shoulder. "I'm starting to think you might be indispensable. Don't make me regret that." After he dismissed her, Mia sat in the back of Vincent's car, touching the medallion. Salvatore was teaching her, protecting her, trusting her with increasingly sensitive operations. And she was betraying him. Except the FBI still had nothing. Every recording, every meeting, every wire, Salvatore had been too careful. Agent Reeves was losing patience. "We need something concrete, or we're pulling the plug. And when we do, you're exposed. Romano will know you've been working with us." Mia was trapped between two forces, neither of which cared if she survived the collision. That night, she texted Vincent. "He suspects something." The response came immediately. "Good. Means he's paying attention. Tomorrow it ends. Be ready." Mia stared at her phone, then at her reflection in the dark window. The wire still taped to her chest. The medallion resting against her throat. A waitress turned criminal turned informant turned. What? She didn't know anymore. And tomorrow, apparently, she'd find out. The meet was set for noon at a shipping warehouse in Red Hook. Salvatore told Mia they were finalizing a deal with suppliers from Philadelphia, vague enough to mean anything, specific enough to sound real. Agent Reeves was thrilled. This is it. Multi-state operation, multiple witnesses. Get them talking numbers. Mia wore the wire, the saint's medallion hanging over it like a talisman. Or a curse. Vincent picked her up at 11, drove in silence. She kept waiting for him to say something about the plan, but he just handed her an earpiece. "Keep this in. When things get loud, you'll need it." "What's going to?" "You'll know." The warehouse was exactly what she expected. Concrete floors, rusted metal, the smell of oil and old wood. Salvatore was already there with 3 of his men, plus 2 guys in expensive suits who looked like they belonged in a boardroom, not a crime scene. The Philadelphia suppliers, she assumed. "Gentlemen," Salvatore greeted them. "Let's talk business." For 20 minutes, they discussed shipping routes, import codes, container numbers. Mia stood against the wall, silent, the wire capturing everything. This was it: conspiracy, interstate commerce, the FBI's dream case. Then Salvatore said something that made her blood freeze. "Of course, we'll need to discuss payment. 3 million cash, delivered to the usual channels." 3 million. The exact amount from a suitcase.
He was baiting them.
Baiting her. One of the Philadelphia men frowned. 3 million? We agreed on 2.5. Price adjustment, Salvatore said smoothly. Inflation. Something was wrong. The whole conversation felt scripted, performative. Salvatore kept glancing at his watch. That's when Mia's earpiece crackled to life. FBI. Nobody move. The warehouse exploded with activity. Agents poured in from 3 entrances, guns drawn, vests marked with giant yellow letters. Someone shouted orders. The Philadelphia men hit the ground immediately, hands behind their heads. But Salvatore's people didn't move. Because they were laughing. "Right on time," Salvatore said, checking his watch. 12:18. "I had 12:15. Vincent, you in the pool." Agent Reeves stormed toward them, furious. "Salvatore Romano, you're under arrest for what? Having a meeting?" He gestured around. "These gentlemen are legitimate import consultants. We were discussing furniture shipments. All perfectly legal. We have recordings of a legal business transaction." Salvatore's smile was sharp. "Feel free to check the paperwork. Everything's documented, taxed, entirely above board." Reeves turned to the Philadelphia men being cuffed on the ground. "And them. No idea who they are. They showed up claiming to be my suppliers. I was in the process of verifying their credentials when you burst in." He pulled out his phone, showing text messages.
"See?
"I contacted the real suppliers an hour ago. These guys are clearly imposters." Mia watched in stunned silence as the trap revealed itself. The Philadelphia men weren't Romano's people. They were Vitali's, sent to implicate Salvatore in front of federal witnesses. But Salvatore had known. Had let them walk into the warehouse, had the FBI raid on a timer, and now Carla's people were the ones getting arrested. Reeves rounded on Mia.
You
knew about this." "I knew about a meeting." "She knew what I told her," Salvatore interrupted. "Which was nothing. She's just an assistant, Agent Reeves. Hardly worth the federal resources you've been wasting on her." The agent's face went crimson. "This isn't over." "Actually, it is. You raided a legal business meeting, arrested the wrong people, and wasted taxpayer money on bad intelligence." Salvatore buttoned his jacket. "I'll be filing a harassment complaint with your supervisor."
Come on, Mia.
"We're leaving." In the car, Mia's hands wouldn't stop shaking. "You knew. The whole time, you knew about the wire." "Of course I knew." Salvatore looked almost offended. "You think I survived 20 years in this business by being stupid? Vincent spotted your FBI tail the day they grabbed you." "Then why?" "Because you were useful. The FBI thought they had an informant, so they showed their hand. Carla thought I was distracted by federal attention, so she made sloppy moves. And you," he turned to her. "You got to choose." "Choose what?" "Every word you recorded, every meeting you attended. You could have given them something real. One slip, one genuine piece of evidence, and I'd be in handcuffs right now." He pulled the saint's medallion from her neck. Opened it. Inside was a tiny camera. "I was recording you recording me. Wanted to see if you'd betray me when you thought you could get away with it." Mia's stomach dropped. And you didn't." "Oh, you fed them information, but nothing actionable. Nothing that would actually hurt me." He handed back the necklace. "Either you're a terrible FBI informant, or you made a choice. Some choice. Work for you, or die. Everyone has choices, Mia. The question is which poison you prefer. His phone buzzed. He glanced at it, frowned. Speaking of poison, he handed her the phone. A text from an unknown number, with a photo attached. Leonard, the nervous accountant from the laundromat, tied to a chair, blood on his face. Below the image, bring the girl. Midnight. Coney Island. Come alone or he dies. CV. Carla Vitali. She grabbed Leonard 3 hours ago, Salvatore said. Figured this was coming. Why does she want me? Because you're the chaos factor. She can't predict you, can't control you. In her mind, removing you removes my advantage. He took back his phone. I'll handle it. You've been through enough. But Mia surprised herself. No. No. She wants me?
Fine.
I'll go. The words came out steadier than she felt. But on my terms. Salvatore studied her, something like pride flickering in his eyes. You're going to get yourself killed. Maybe. But I'm tired of being everyone's pawn. She met his gaze. I'm nobody, right? That's what makes me useful. So let me be useful. Let me go in there and get Leonard out. Carla will kill you both. Not if I'm more interesting alive. Mia's mind was already racing, forming a plan that was probably insane but just might work. Do you still have that fake suitcase? The one we used for the Philly setup. The prop? Yes, why? A slow smile spread across her face. Because I'm about to put on a show. And everyone loves a good show. Salvatore laughed. That surprised, delighted laugh she was getting used to. Vincent, change of plans. Take us to the warehouse. Miss Chin needs some supplies. As they drove, Mia's phone buzzed. Agent Reeves, you're done. The second you're clear of Romano, we're charging you with obstruction. She deleted the message without responding. She'd made her choice. Now she just had to survive it. The abandoned carnival in Coney Island looked like something from a nightmare. Rusted roller coaster tracks clawed at the sky, painted clowns with faded smiles watched from boarded-up game booths, and the Ferris wheel creaked in the wind like a dying animal. Midnight. Of course it was midnight. Mia stood at the entrance, clutching the black suitcase. Inside, no money. Instead, Vincent had packed it with fireworks, smoke bombs, and a remote detonator. Hit the button, run like hell, he'd instructed. This is a terrible plan, she muttered. Through her earpiece, Salvatore's voice crackled. It's your plan. We're in position, say the word, and we come in.
No.
If she sees your people, she'll kill Leonard immediately. If she sees you alone, she'll kill you both. Then I'd better be interesting. Mia walked into the carnival, her footsteps echoing on broken pavement. Overhead lights flickered sporadically, powered by generators humming somewhere in the darkness. The whole place smelled like rust and decay. Keep walking, a voice called out. Straight ahead. House of Mirrors. Of course. Because this wasn't creepy enough. The House of Mirrors was a maze of cracked glass and warped reflections. A dozen MIAs stared back at her, each looking more terrified than the last. She followed the path until it opened into a central chamber. Leonard sat tied to a chair in the middle, his face bruised, his glasses shattered. Around him stood 6 of Carla's people, all armed. And leaning against a broken mirror, cigarette in hand, was Carla Vitali herself. The famous Mia Chin. Carla exhaled smoke. You're smaller than I expected. You're exactly as charming as I expected. Carla laughed. I like you. Shame I have to kill you. You don't have to do anything. Let Leonard go. He's just an accountant. An accountant who knows where Romano keeps his records. Very valuable accountant. Carla gestured to the suitcase. That better be what I think it is. 3 million. Same as the original pickup. Open it. Mia set the suitcase on the ground, popped the latches. The fireworks were arranged to look like bundled cash in the dim light, at least from a distance. Carla's eyes narrowed. Bring it here. Let him go first. You're not in a position to negotiate. Actually, I am. Mia's hand slid into her jacket pocket, fingers finding the detonator. Because here's what you don't know. The FBI has had this place surrounded for the last hour. Carla's expression flickered. Bullshit. Special Agent Reeves. She's been tracking me for weeks. You really think she'd let me walk into a death trap without backup? Mia was making it up as she went, but Carla didn't need to know that. They're waiting for my signal. I give it, and everyone here goes down for kidnapping and attempted murder of a federal witness. You're bluffing. Am I? Check your phone. How many unmarked cars are parked within a 3-block radius right now? One of Carla's men pulled out his phone, checked something, then whispered to her. His face had gone pale. Carla's jaw tightened. So what? You're offering a trade? The money for your life. I'm offering you a way out. Take the suitcase. Let us walk. Everyone goes home alive. For a moment, Carla seemed to consider it. Then she smiled, cold and cruel. Or I kill you both, take the money, and deal with the feds. They can't prove anything. That's when the lights went out. Complete darkness. Someone shouted. In her earpiece, Vincent's voice. Now. Mia hit the detonator. The suitcase exploded in a shower of sparks and colored light. Fireworks screamed through the house of mirrors, reflecting off 100 surfaces, turning the space into a kaleidoscope of chaos. Smoke bombs erupted, filling the chamber with thick, choking fog. Mia dropped to the ground, crawling toward where she'd last seen Leonard. Gunshots cracked through the darkness, Carla's people firing blind. Glass shattered. Someone screamed. Leonard, Mia shouted.
Here.
I'm here. She found him by touch, her fingers fumbling with the ropes. The knots were tight, but panic gave her strength. She got one hand free, then the other. Can you walk? I think so. More gunshots.
Closer now.
Then a new sound, more shouting, but different voices. FBI, drop your weapons. Oh God. The feds were actually here. Through the smoke and sparks, Mia saw flashlight beams cutting through the chaos. Agent Reeves had followed her after all, probably hoping to catch both Romano and Vitali in the act. This way. Vincent appeared out of the smoke, grabbing Mia's arm. He had Leonard's other arm, half dragging the accountant toward a service exit. They burst out of the house of mirrors into the open air. Behind them, the carnival was chaos. FBI agents clashing with Carla's crew, Romano's people engaging from the perimeter, fireworks still exploding inside the mirrored building. Salvatore's car screeched up beside them. The door flew open. Get in. Mia and Leonard tumbled into the back. Vincent jumped in front. The car peeled out as more police cars arrived, sirens wailing. Salvatore turned from the passenger seat, looking Mia over. Are you hurt?
No.
No, I'm okay. She was shaking, adrenaline making her hands tremble. Leonard. Alive, the accountant gasped. Thanks to you. Through the rear window, Mia watched the carnival recede, red and blue lights flashing, the house of mirrors still flickering with the last of the fireworks. Salvatore handed her a bottle of water. Fireworks. You brought fireworks to a hostage exchange. Seemed like a good idea at the time. It was insane, but it worked. He studied her for a long moment, then started laughing. You walked into Carla Vitali's trap, bluffed about the FBI, triggered a 3-way firefight, and rescued my accountant using discount fireworks. He shook his head in disbelief. Vincent, remind me never to underestimate her again. Noted, boss. Leonard leaned forward, his face a mess of bruises. Miss Chun. Thank you. Really? I thought I was dead. We're not out of this yet, Vincent warned. The Fed saw us. Carla knows we were there. This is going to blow back hard. Let it, Salvatore said. Carla lost people tonight, got raided by the FBI, and failed to kill my associate. She's weaker now, he turned back to Mia.
And you?
You just proved you're not dead weight. You're legitimately dangerous. Is that a compliment? In my world, the highest one there is. Mia's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Enjoy tonight. Next time, you won't be so lucky. CV. Carla had escaped. Mia showed the message to Salvatore. He read it, then deleted it. She'll come after you now, he said. directly. You embarrassed her. So what do we do? Salvatore's smile was sharp and predatory. We make sure she regrets it. As they drove through the early morning streets, Mia realized something had shifted. She wasn't just surviving anymore. She was playing the game. And she was starting to get good at it. That thought should have terrified her. Instead, it made her feel alive. The carnival incident made headlines. Federal raid ends in chaos, read the Post. 3 of Carla's people arrested, 2 of Salvatore's wounded, and the FBI walking away empty-handed again. Mia expected retaliation. She didn't expect a promotion. You're moving up, Salvatore announced 3 days later in his office. I'm putting you on the inner circle. Full access. Vincent looked like he'd swallowed glass. Boss, she's been with us 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, she's burned a federal investigation, rescued Leonard, and outmaneuvered Carla Vitali twice. Salvatore poured himself a drink. When someone proves themselves, I reward them. That's how loyalty works. But Mia was starting to understand that loyalty in Salvatore's world was just another word for leverage. That night, Leonard pulled her aside in the parking garage. His face had healed, but his eyes were haunted. You saved my life, he said quietly. So, I'm going to tell you something. Get out. While you still can. What are you talking about? This life. It doesn't let you go. You think you're in control, but you're not. One day you wake up and realize you've become something you don't recognize. He glanced around nervously. Whatever debt you think you owe Romano, it's not worth your soul. I don't have a choice. Everyone has a choice. The question is whether you're brave enough to make it. He walked away, leaving Mia standing alone in the concrete shadows. Salvatore was planning something big. Mia could tell by the meetings, more frequent, more secretive. Associates flew in from Philadelphia, Boston, even Chicago. Everyone was preparing for war. Carla crossed the line, Salvatore told her. Kidnapping Leonard, trying to kill you, that's personal. She needs to be reminded why people don't challenge me. What are you going to do? End this. Permanently, he pulled out a map of the harbor. She has a shipment coming in Wednesday night. Pharmaceuticals from overseas, worth about $12 million. I'm going to take it, along with her dock workers and her reputation. After that, she'll be finished. Mia studied the map. It was a good plan, aggressive, comprehensive, designed to cripple Vitali operations in one strike. It was also a massacre waiting to happen. How many people? She asked.
Mean?
15, maybe 20. Hers? Double that. Probably. Salvatore rolled up the map. It's going to get messy.
People would die.
Maybe a lot of people. And for what?
Territory. Pride.
Money that would just get laundered and spent on more violence. That night, unable to sleep, Mia made a decision. She'd been surviving, adapting, learning. But Leonard was right. She was becoming something she didn't recognize. The scared waitress who'd answered a wrong number was gone, replaced by someone who could lie without flinching, manipulate without guilt, watch criminals plan murders, and say nothing. She needed out. But to get out, she needed leverage. The next morning, Mia did something she'd never done before. She lied to Salvatore. I need to check on my mom, she told him. Just a few hours. She's been worried. Take Vincent with you. She'll freak out if I show up with a bodyguard.
Please.
Just a few hours alone. He studied her, then nodded. 4 hours. Then you're back. We have work to do. Instead of going to her mother's, Mia went to a storage facility in Queens, one she'd rented under a fake name a week ago, using cash she'd skimmed from a petty cash box at the laundromat. Inside the unit was the original suitcase. The real one. The $3 million that had started everything. She'd switched it weeks ago, during a moment when Vincent had been distracted. The suitcase Salvatore thought he'd recovered had been filled with marked bills from a different operation, close enough that no one had checked. Mia stared at the money, her escape, her leverage, her insurance policy. She could run right now, take the money, buy a bus ticket, disappear into America's vast anonymity. But Carla would hunt her. The FBI would hunt her. And Salvatore would hunt her family.
No.
She needed something bigger. Something that would make everyone too busy to chase a nobody waitress. She needed chaos. Mia pulled out 2 phones. On the first, she texted Agent Reeves. Wednesday night. Harbor. Romano and Vitali both. This is your chance. Don't waste it. On the second, a burner, she texted a number she'd memorized from one of Carla's confiscated phones. Romano knows about the Wednesday shipment. Moving it up to Tuesday. New location. She attached the harbor coordinates. The exact place Salvatore would be Wednesday night. Then she destroyed both phones, closed the storage unit, and went to visit her actual mother. Maria Chin lived in a tiny apartment in Queens, surrounded by her plants and her memories. She made tea while Mia sat at the kitchen table, trying not to cry. You look tired, Mija, her mother said, her accent thick despite 40 years in America. That job is too much. I'm thinking of quitting. Maybe moving away for a while. Where would you go? Somewhere quiet. Somewhere new. Mia sipped her tea. Would you come with me? Her mother laughed. This is my home.
But you should go.
See the world. You're too young to be so tired. Mia hugged her mother tight, breathing in the smell of lavender and cooking oil. I love you, Mom. I love you too, my strange daughter. Whatever trouble you're in, and I know you're in trouble, you can't hide that from your mother. Remember, you're stronger than you think. When Mia left, she didn't look back. Wednesday night, Mia stood next to Salvatore in a warehouse overlooking the harbor. Through binoculars, she could see the docks. Empty.
Silent.
Something's wrong, Vincent said, lowering his radio. No activity. No shipment. Salvatore's jaw tightened. She moved it. Or it's a trap, Mia said quietly. That's when the lights hit them. FBI spotlights, police sirens, helicopters overhead. FBI. Nobody move. Salvatore's people scattered. Some ran, some drew weapons, some froze in confusion. The warehouse erupted into chaos. In the noise and panic, Mia slipped toward the back exit. She was almost there when Vincent grabbed her arm. Where do you think you're going?
The same place you are, she said.
Away. He searched her face, understanding dawning. You set this up. I gave everyone what they wanted. The FBI gets arrests. Carla thinks Romano walked into her trap. Romano thinks Carla set him up, she pulled free. And I get to disappear. The boss will find you. Let him try. She ran into the night as gunshots echoed behind her. The bus to Portland left at 4 a.m. Mia bought the ticket with cash, kept her head down, and didn't breathe easy until the city's skyline disappeared behind her. She'd retrieved the suitcase from the storage unit, transferred it to a battered duffel bag, and left her old life behind. No phone, no cards, no trail. For 3 days, she moved. Portland to Seattle, Seattle to Boise, Boise to Denver, never staying anywhere long enough to leave an impression. She paid for cheap motels in cash, ate gas station food, and kept the duffel bag within arm's reach at all times. In Denver, she finally stopped running. The apartment was a studio in a quiet neighborhood, the kind of place where neighbors minded their business and the landlord didn't ask questions if you paid 3 months up front in cash. She rented it under the name Sarah Martinez, using a fake ID she'd bought from a guy Vincent had once mentioned, ironic but useful. For the first time in a month, Mia slept through the night. The news reached her in fragments. She'd visit libraries, use public computers for 15-minute increments, never creating patterns. The harbor raid had been a bloodbath. FBI arrested 12 people, including 3 of Carla's lieutenants. Carla herself had been caught fleeing in a boat, now facing federal racketeering charges. Her organization was in shambles. Salvatore had escaped, though reports said he'd been wounded. His empire was damaged but intact. Vincent had disappeared. Leonard was in witness protection. And Mia Chin? Officially listed as missing.
Possibly dead.
Possibly a federal fugitive. The story was confused enough that no one seemed to be looking very hard. She'd done it. She'd actually gotten away. Mia found work at a bookstore, quiet, simple, exactly the kind of boring she used to hate. She read during slow hours, learned the inventory system, helped customers find romance novels and mystery thrillers without seeing the irony. Her coworker, Jessica, invited her to happy hour. Mia almost said no, then realized that saying no to everything was its own kind of pattern. "So, what brought you to Denver?" Jessica asked over cheap wine. "Needed a change of scenery," Mia said. Vague. Believable. "I hear that. I moved here after a bad breakup. Sometimes you just need to start over, you know?" "Yeah," Mia said quietly. "I know." Weeks became a month. October turned to November. Mia celebrated her 27th birthday alone with Thai takeout and a movie. Her mother thought she was dead. Agent Reeves thought she was in hiding. Salvatore thought. She didn't let herself think about what Salvatore thought. The money stayed hidden in her closet, tucked behind winter coats she'd bought at a thrift store. $3 million in a duffel bag. She'd only spent a few thousand, enough to survive, not enough to attract attention. Sometimes late at night, she'd open the bag and just look at it. All that money, all that possibility. But using it meant leaving a trail. So it sat there, potential energy waiting to explode. Life was simple, boring even. She should have been happy. Instead, she felt hollow. The knock came on a Tuesday night, 3 weeks into her new life. Mia was making pasta, actual homemade pasta, because she had time now to do things like cook. The sauce was simmering. The water was boiling. Everything was normal. Then knock, knock, knock. She froze, wooden spoon in hand. Through the peephole, a man in a delivery uniform, holding a package. "Package for Sarah Martinez," he called. She hadn't ordered anything. "Just leave it at the door," she said. "Need a signature." Mia's hand moved to the kitchen drawer where she kept a knife. Old habits. "Who's it from?" "Doesn't say. But the sender paid extra for evening delivery. Must be important." She opened the door a crack, chain still on. The deliverman smiled, Vincent's smile, and kicked the door hard. The chain snapped. Mia stumbled back, and Vincent walked in like he owned the place. "Nice apartment," he said, looking around. "Quiet neighborhood. Library 2 blocks away.
Bookstore job.
Very clever. How did you find you?" He closed the door behind him. "You used one of my contacts' fake IDs. Did you really think you wouldn't tell me? For the right price. Everyone talks." Mia's grip tightened on the knife. "Is Salvatore with you?" "Not yet." Vincent walked to her kitchen, turned off the stove. "You set us up. Got Carla arrested, got the boss shot, destroyed 6 months of carefully built operations. You know what he wants to do to you. Kill me." That was the first impulse. Yes, Vincent opened her fridge, grabbed a beer like this was a social visit. But then he thought about it.
Really thought about it.
And you know what he decided? Mia said nothing. That you're exactly what he said you were. Interesting. Dangerous. Worth keeping alive. Vincent took a sip. "He sent me to bring you back." "I'm not going back." "You don't have a choice." "I always have a choice." They stared at each other across the small kitchen. Then Vincent smiled, not unkind, almost sympathetic. "He's downstairs," Vincent said. "Waiting in the car. Wanted me to secure the apartment first, make sure you hadn't rigged explosives or something equally insane." He glanced at the duffel bag visible through her open closet door. "I see you kept the money."
Smart.
"Leverage." "It's mine. It was never yours." "But that's a conversation for the boss." He set down the beer. "He says you have 5 minutes to pack what matters. After that, we're leaving. With or without you. And if I run, please don't make me chase you. I'm tired, you're tired, and honestly, I think you want to go back." "That's insane." "Is it?" Vincent's eyes were sharp. "You've been here 3 weeks living the quiet life you thought you wanted. How's that working out? You miss the diner? The fryer grease? The double shifts?" He was right, and Mia hated that he was right. The bookstore was fine. Denver was fine. This life was fine. But fine felt like dying slowly. He's going to kill me eventually, she said. Maybe. Or maybe you'll kill him. Either way, Vincent shrugged. It'll be interesting. He walked to the door, paused with his hand on the knob. 5 minutes, Mia. Then we come up together. The door closed behind him. Mia stood in her quiet, safe apartment, sauce cooling on the stove, pasta water going still. Through the window, she could see a black car parked on the street below, engine running. She could run again, climb out the bathroom window, disappear into the night, keep running forever. Or she could face him. Mia grabbed the duffel bag, took one last look at her borrowed life, and walked out the door. Time to finish this. The car door opened, and Mia slid into the back seat. Salvatore sat across from her, legs crossed, suit immaculate despite everything. He looked exactly the same, sharp, composed, dangerous. Except for the scar on his neck.
Fresh.
From the harbor. Hello, Mia.
Salvatore.
Vincent got in the driver's seat, but didn't start the engine. The silence stretched. Finally, Salvatore smiled. You played me. The FBI, Carla, everyone. Set us all against each other while you disappeared into the night with my money. Your money, Mia said, that I accidentally picked up because your guy gave the wrong number. Fair point, he gestured to the duffel bag. May I? She handed it over. He unzipped it, glanced at the contents, then zipped it back up. 3 million. Give or take. You didn't spend much. Didn't want to leave a trail. Smart, he set the bag aside. Here's what I can't figure out. You had 3 weeks to disappear completely. New identity, new country, new life. Instead, you stayed in America, got a minimum wage job, and lived like a monk. Why? Mia had asked herself the same question 100 times. Maybe I'm not good at running. Or maybe you're waiting for something. He leaned forward. The harbor was brilliant, by the way. Everyone exactly where you wanted them, tearing each other apart while you slipped away. I'd be impressed if I wasn't so annoyed. Are you going to kill me? I should. He pulled something from his jacket, the saint's medallion he'd given her. She'd left it in her old apartment. But then I'd lose the most interesting person I've met in 20 years. I destroyed your operation. You damaged it. There's a difference. He fastened the medallion around her neck, his fingers cold against her skin. Carla's in prison. The feds wasted resources on arrests that won't stick. My competition thinks I'm wounded, which makes them sloppy. And you, he sat back. You proved you're not just lucky. You're dangerous. So what now? I work for you? Pay off my debt forever. No, the word surprised her. Here's what's going to happen. You keep the 3 million inch. Mia's breath caught. What? Consider it a signing bonus. He pulled out a contract. Actual paper, actual legal language. You work for me, but not as an errand girl. As a partner. Limited scope, full autonomy. You handle the problems that require creative solutions. I provide resources and protection. 60-40 split on operations you run. She stared at the contract. Why would you do this? Because people like you don't come along often. You see angles others miss. You improvise under pressure. And most importantly, his eyes locked on hers. You're not afraid to burn everything down if you have to. That's rare. That's valuable. You don't trust me. Of course I don't. And you don't trust me, he smiled. That's what makes this work. Mutual distrust is more reliable than loyalty. Loyalty falters. Self-interest never does. Mia read through the contract. It was surprisingly fair, legitimate business fronts, actual legal protection, an exit clause after 2 years. What's the catch? You come back to New York. You work when I call. And you never, his voice went cold, never set me up again. Next time, I won't be so forgiving. And if I say no, then you keep running. I'll give you a head start, call it professional courtesy. But eventually someone will find you. Maybe me. Maybe the feds. Maybe one of Carla's people who escaped. You'll spend your life looking over your shoulder, that money slowly running out, wondering when your luck expires. He was right. She'd known it in Denver. staring at her quiet apartment, feeling that hollow ache. Or, Salvatore continued, you accept that the wrong number wasn't wrong at all. It was fate, chaos, whatever you want to call it. You stepped into this world, and it changed you. You can pretend to go back, but we both know you can't. Mia looked at the contract, then at Salvatore, then at the $3 million in the duffel bag. She thought about Bernie's diner, the grease-stained floor, the double shifts, the suffocating routine that had been killing her slowly. She thought about the carnival, the fireworks, the moment she'd stared down Carla Vitali and lied like her life depended on it. Because it had. And she'd never felt more alive. If I sign this, she said slowly, I want one more thing. Name it. My mother. Full protection. She never gets touched, never gets used as leverage. That's non-negotiable. Salvatore considered, then nodded.
Done.
She'll have security she doesn't know about. No one touches her. Mia picked up the pen he offered. Her hand hovered over the signature line. Last chance to be normal, Salvatore said quietly. Normal's overrated.
She signed.
Salvatore's smile was genuine this time. Pleased, proud, predatory. Welcome back, Miss Jen. Vincent started the engine. As they pulled away from the curb, Denver disappearing behind them, Mia caught her reflection in the window. She looked different. Harder. Sharper. One question, she said. How did you find me so fast? Salvatore pulled out his phone, showed her a tracking app. The medallion. GPS tracker. I've known where you were since day 1. You let me run. I wanted to see what you'd do. If you keep running or come back, he pocketed his phone. You chose to come back. That tells me everything I need to know. Mia touched the medallion at her throat. She'd thought she was free. She'd thought she'd escaped. But maybe freedom was never the point. So, what's the first job? She asked. Rebuilding. We have territory to reclaim, relationships to mend, and rivals who think we're weak. He handed her a folder. Starting with this. Small crew in Queens trying to move in on our gambling operations. They need to be reminded who runs the city. Mia opened the folder, studied the faces, the addresses, the details. Her mind was already working, seeing angles, planning approaches. The scared waitress who'd answered a wrong number was gone. In her place sat someone new. Someone dangerous. Someone who'd learned to navigate darkness and come out smiling. When do we start? She asked. Salvatore raised his glass. Where he'd gotten scotch in a moving car, she had no idea. We already have. As they crossed back into New York, the city lights welcoming them home, Mia felt that familiar thrill, half terror, half excitement. The same feeling she'd had riding her scooter through the rain toward an address she shouldn't have gone to. She'd wanted escape from her boring life. She'd gotten it. And now there was no going back. Cheers, Salvatore said. To interesting. Mia clinked her glass against his, the $3 million sitting between them like a promise and a threat. To interesting, she echoed. The city swallowed them whole, and neither of them looked back.